So the background about me is that my family are coffee planters by heritage, but they worked in the cities, uh, and I was brought up in the city schools, and only recently they moved back. Now, if you're a smallholder, and when I say smallholder, I mean anything less than about 10 or 20 acres. Uh, if you have anything less than 10 or 20 acres, it's not feasible for you to have round the clock labor, for example. And these are essential. Labor is the main issue for coffee plantation management. Just those initial views of seeing a plantation from the top uh, was profound, because you have so much of detail you can get when you look at things from a zoomed out perspective, when you're not in the trenches, when you're not going through the trees and just getting overwhelmed by the number of coffee trees there are and the number of things which have to be done. It's just next to impossible to note everything down and then execute it, because you don't know where what kind of work has to be done. And when you're looking at scale of land and with limited labor, the issue becomes, or rather the only way to do it becomes, to make a very optimized approach to things. So you want to be able to figure out where to do that 20% of work which is going to result in 80% of your intended benefit. So my pitch now is that I'm going to leverage, which in my opinion is the best source of data, the most high level view of things, which you can capture as much data as possible for an 80-20 kind of a solution. 20% focus areas for 80% effect, and drones were the vehicle for this. And I'm using multispectral drones. So we, apart from just the RGB view, the map, we're also going to get crop health, basically anything which is exposed to the canopy. Under canopy is a different story. We will tackle that as well. That is the primary data source. From this, we are using GPS technology to tag the trees, individual coffee trees and individual timber trees. And so now think about it. You have a map, you have these individual coffee trees and timber trees. When labor is being done, when coffee labor is being done, and the whole premise of all of this is that I want to solve the labor problem for Coog. And by extension, Coog is of course the coffee growing area I'm a part of, and it's a majority of the coffee exists there, there and Chikmagalur, neighboring places. But so once we've tagged all of these, we get a lot of data. And the issue becomes now, who's going to fund the data and why would they fund it? The coffee farmers themselves, they don't understand this data angle yet. And I think many people don't. But the data angle can play out into, all sorts of positive things. Like you have your insurance, you have your loans. Now we need to tap into the customer's interest. And I thought, what better way than to address the immediate pain point of this current time, which is labor. And so how we're going to integrate this whole thing is that we're going to solve labor through, first of all, mapping out different estates, figuring out how much of work has to be done. And this can be obtained by figuring out the number of trees, the ripening stage, because different coffee estates ripen at different times. And there's heavy implications for an early harvest or a late harvest. So, and of course, so now every coffee estate is ripening at the same time, and in peak harvest season, you're going to have conflict of labor interest, meaning you're not going to get labor when you need it. The idea was to, through this mapping exercise, be able to prioritize and schedule a centralized team of labor with also one or two additional trained roles for quality checks post the harvest day, and to give real-time analytics as to what is happening. So for example, if we have 100 trees which are marked by GPS, usually the way harvest works is that they start at a particular corner of the plot. Each coffee worker takes one line because they're planted in grids. But they're not regular grids, of course. It's it's on terrain and it's between trees. And so by the end of the day, they might have gone to some extent, maybe about 15 trees deep into a particular bit, and 5 lines if there were about 5 to 10 workers. Usually they work in pairs, so a pair of them would take up one line. And so now once this is done, at the end of the day, I want this data collection exercise of having one member from the team to go to just walk around with a precision GPS device. So then we get a line as to how much of work has been done, and from that we can estimate how much what is the yield per tree in that area, localized area, down to the resolution of how many trees have been picked. We'll get an idea about the productivity of the workers and all sorts of other details, so we can facilitate real-time tracking and quality checks as well. So now sometimes they leave trees in between, and this could be due to two reasons. Usually, if they're incentivized by the kg, in like which we want to do away with, because that also results in a lot of issues. We want to give them a fixed wage by fair trade policies, so that means it's higher than what they'll be getting paid right now at the moment. But basically, we want to remove that out of the equation as well. So, looking forward to seeing where this goes.